Hey, this is John at Metric Partners. Thanks for stopping by. Wanted to walk you through a few options here in Adobe Analytics on methods you could use to look at attribution. And of course, this has been around for a while, but sometimes it's kind of hard to visualize exactly, the different methods you want to use, how to best effectively look at the data so you can make decisions. So hopefully these 4 tips today that we give you will help out. So as a marketer or anybody involved in marketing, you may be interested in maybe crediting certain marketing channels as they're touched. A lot of times just by default in your reports, you'll probably just see last touch attribution, but there are several models out there within Adobe Analytics that you can use to look at multi-touches. So what we're going to show now is this first method, revenue participation. Participation is a great metric because it credits everything 100% for a given conversion. So an example is, let's say, I've touched on maybe 3 different channels before I complete a purchase. So let's say it's paid search, email, and maybe affiliates or even social. What happens by default is revenue, if I pull that in for this time period, this is actually crediting only the last channel that was touched. So probably, and you can't really tell which channel it was, but probably paid search, let's say, was my last touched channel. But all of the previous channels touched is what I don't have any insight into. So here you can see the revenue line item. Now, if I pull in revenue participation, and this is basically crediting every single channel that was touched 100% of the revenue. So that's why we're seeing a higher number here in this column. The way to get a revenue participation metric is pretty simple. If you go to metrics, this little plus sign, you'll be able to create a new calculated metric. And from here, it'll bring up this screen. You just pull in the metric you want. So we're focused on revenue. And we'll call this, revenue participation. And since it's currency, we'll make sure the format's currency there. And here under, this is the key on how to change the actual attribution model for the metrics. So revenue, there's a little gear icon. Tap that and there's this use non-default attribution model. If I select that, there's a lot of different models we could use. I'm focused on just participation. Look back window, I'm going to change that to visitor reporting window. That'll make sure the whole date range is being accounted for. So that's it. Once that's saved, you drag that in as another metric, you can do the comparison. So that's tip number 1, is use participation for any conversion event to view 100% credit for every channel. If I were an email marketer and I was focused purely on email, I wanted to show the story that email told, I would definitely want to use this number instead of this number, because that's showing a lot more credit there for my efforts. So that's tip number 1. Number 2 here, channel overlap. The way I built this was by pulling in under panels here. There's going to be an attribution panel, and you've probably seen that. It's a really cool feature Adobe's released with lots of different visualizations for attribution. The one I really liked out of that the most, well, actually there were two visuals. I couldn't really find use cases for every single visual that was in there, but I really liked the channel overlap. And the other one was channel pathing, which we'll touch on in a second. But channel overlap lets you view basically a Venn diagram. So you got circles overlapping. If I were to select from this table here, just two channels, let's focus on paid search and email. You just hold down the command button and then select two channels there. And I do have participation in there, but you can use any metric there. So what this is showing is a pretty heavy overlap between these two channels. The immediate decision I could make from this is, well, if there's a heavy overlap, I probably want to drill down into this quadrant here, or this overlap area, so I can figure out, what's my ROI, how well are people converting actually in each channel. Look in each channel separately as well and see which one is working better as a converter. But then now I can see, okay, I've got two channels that I'm putting money into, but they're heavily overlapped. So that means I'm putting the same same dollars into two channels here. If I put $10 into paid search and then $10 into revenue, I don't really need to do $10 over here because there's this big overlap here. So this chunk, this overlap chunk, is basically duplicate efforts with marketing. That's one story, but the other story with this is maybe there's two channels that synergize really well and you want to keep the investment going into each channel. A third option here is if the circles are completely separate, that means my investments are really good because they're not overlapping. They're in separate silos. So pretty cool visualization. I like this channel overlap. That's another way to look and see how your marketing efforts are with each channel. Channel touches, you've probably seen this flow diagram with things like page pathing, activity pathing or action pathing. Using marketing channels here lets you see over the time period. So I've got this July to October. This lets you see which channels are being touched. And right here I have social as the center. If I want to change that, let's say I want to focus on paid search, you can right click on this node here and say focus on this node. And that immediately makes paid search the center. And then of course here on the green section, this is entries or basically showing how many people came through on paid search. So 77% of this bucket. The other 23% came through on a different channel first. They touched another channel first and then came to paid search. Then this one in pink here, this is showing 84% didn't move on to another channel, didn't touch another channel within this date range. So pretty cool visualization there to show multi-touch as well. Now, the one limitation with this view though is metrics. So there's no easy way to get revenue or orders or whatever metric you want to focus on. You could, however, add a segment. So if I wanted to say, show me only customers, not just visitors, but customers, people who purchase, I could make a segment that says, if order exists, make that the segment, and then just analyze this data only for people who ordered. So the next thing with this is, so channel assist is the fourth tip here. This is pretty cool because this shows how channels are assisting other channels, similar to the overlap that we looked at, but this is actually consecutive in order. So they touch paid search first, then email. Very similar to this view. In fact, I used this view to create these segments. So let's say with paid search, visitors who then touched email later, after paid search was an assist, email was the last touch channel. So what I can do there real quick is right click when you have this path highlighted. Let's go into this node. If you right click and do create segment for this path, this will pull up this screen here. Then you can create, it actually builds out the segment for you so you can see, okay, paid search touch first, then within one channel touch, email was next. So it's like the immediate next channel touched. So I like to just use a little arrow to show the path, kind of in a path. You could, if you want, honestly, I don't know if this is effective or not, but you could add even a third or fourth layer there. I know in Google Analytics, you're able to do that with channel assists. This is the way to do it in Adobe Analytics. So you create those segments, you just drag them all over here, and then there you have assists. You can see which assists are working the best. You can filter for the one channel you're most interested in, or just look at them holistically and look at everything. So that's it. Thank you for your time. Hopefully this helps. Feel free to reach out to us with questions. We love this kind of stuff. We love helping. We have a huge passion for analytics, and that's why we're here. So that's the work we do all the time. Thank you for your time. Have a good day. Bye.